Hey guys, it's Tanya. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to confess some things. Tanya, make mistakes. If you are new here, welcome. If you're not new here, welcome back. My name is Tanya. I make videos about microlocs and other things, as you can see from the titles of most of the videos on this channel. My perspective is that of fine and low density hair. And I also am the owner of a shop called Lock So Fine, where I sell products that help you protect your hair, and the majority of them are made out of satin, including bonnets and satin headdress covers and scrunchies. So if you're interested in purchasing, the link is always in the description below, and there is a coupon code YouTube10 that you can use on your very first purchase. Whoa, okay, now that we got all that out of the way, I've been building up the courage to make this video because, nobody wants to say that they have flaws, but I have flaws. And I have made a few mistakes on my microloc journey. And I want to share those with you today, not because I want to be self-depreciative or anything like that, but because I hope that you don't make the same mistakes. And if we share here on this platform of YouTube where people are searching about microlocs and they're searching about sister locks, or they're trying to find somebody who is going through or has gone through the same experience that they have, if that person can be truthful to you and tell you pitfalls to avoid, then that is always a good thing. Thankfully, I only have like 4 major things I've done wrong in the last year, but they're big ones. So yeah, let's get right into it. Item number 1, if you've been on my channel at any point in time, you have seen that I stopped braiding and banding. And the mistake is not necessarily that I stopped braiding and banding, but I stopped braiding and banding my hair before I was given the clearance to do so. So because my hair is fine and low density, whenever I was braiding and banding my hair, I would go ahead and braid and band. I would wash my hair, let it completely dry. And I noticed that my hair would get really flat, and I was like, ooh, that's not cute. So I want more bite to my hair. So what I started doing was I started washing my hair, kind of braided and banded. It was kind of like a gateway, y'all. So I first started washing it, not letting it dry, but just like a little bit. And then I would take it out when it was pretty still kind of wet. And then I would let it air dry so that it would be fluffier, right? And I was like, okay, that should be fine. I didn't really notice anything big. Then I was like, I'm going to graduate to the stage where forget it. I'm just going to wash my hair. I've been watching these girls on these YouTube videos. They get in the shower, just tresses, water flowing through them. And it just looks like it's just so exciting. So I stopped braiding and banding altogether. In addition to that, I added on that I did a rinse on my hair that added a lot of weight, a lot of slippage to my hair as well. And I ended up losing a lock because of it. It basically around the nape side of my hair, by my ears especially, I started getting a lot of slippage, which led to bunching in the lock, and then one of them eventually broke off. All because it wasn't even that I was too lazy to do the braiding and banding, I just didn't like the look of it, and so I stopped doing that. So my advice to you is I would not stop braiding and banding my hair. I know there's people who are like 4 years along, who are even further along than that, and they keep braiding and banding. Like, what is the reason not to? There really can only be a couple of reasons. A, you just don't want to because it's a lot of work. Or B, you just don't like the way it looks. And the way that I fix that is the next day or so, I just spray my hair with water and bunch it up, and it gets rid of that flat look. But it's just not really worth it to run the risk of having issues with your hair just because you just don't feel like braiding and bending. Don't be me, okay? Do what you're supposed to do, and so you don't end up with those issues. The next thing I did that was like, dang it, Tanyelle, I actually didn't realize, and that was too much tension around the edges of my hair. Now, imagine this. You create this inner lock that's super tiny, right? And as you know, for example, the tinier the point, if you're into physics or whatever, or I think that's the thought, right? Physics. The tinier the point, the more pressure goes on that one point, right? So that if you spread out the tension or you spread out the weight of anything, it doesn't seem to weigh as much as if it was like one small thing that weighed that much. And so when your locks especially are tiny and your strands are fragile because they're smaller in diameter, that means that they can take less tension because that tension affects the strands more than if people have thicker, stronger, you can say, hair, or their locks are a little bit bigger. So what I was doing was at the very beginning of my lock journey, I was going around and I did a lot of flat twisting across the front while I was doing it too tight. Also, I was kind of pulling my hair back into ponytails. I was doing it too tight, especially over here. And so what was happening is that was contributing to me having slippage in my hair. And I've seen even there's a girl called LT Locks and she has sister locks, and her hair is thinner, on the thinner side as well. And what she said was she actually was ending up with having some breakage across the front of her hair. Laura, who you guys have seen on my channel a lot, same thing with her. When you pull your locks too much, like especially along the front of them, you run the risk of losing your edges, and especially as your locks get longer and they start getting heavier. So my advice to you would be, one thing that I have learned from a lot of different sources on Instagram, on Facebook, my own loctician, is especially with fine low density hair, don't pull your hair. Don't manipulate your hair. That's another thing with the too much tension. About like the 6-month mark, when I started this YouTube channel, I decided I was going to try all the things, right? I tried roller sets. I tried this. I tried that. I tried that. Because I figured out that if you add curl to your hair, it adds body to your hair. And I was trying to figure out and like do tutorials for this channel to figure that out. Well, what happened was it tore up the whole back of my hair, y'all. That's when I started getting the holes. That's when I started getting the most slippage. That's when I started getting more buildup, because I was putting some products and stuff on there in order to get that curl effect. And so now my method is to use foam rollers. I only use water, and I do it very loosely at the base of the lock, and I don't pull so tight in order to get that real tight curl, because I've learned that too much tension, especially when your hair is fine and low density, it ends up with losing edges. It also ends up with you having slippage, and it damages the locks and creates holes and bunching and things like that. So don't be like me, okay? Don't put a lot of tension on your locks. You can do things and not put so much tension. Okay. The next thing I did, it wasn't like an action, more like physical. I think that with any journey, we have the tendency to seek out people who have gone on that journey before us. But I think the problem that I had at the beginning, and I've spoken about it so many times because of that, is like the comparison trap. That would be the other mistake that I made. I got really discouraged a few times during my journey, because even when looking at other people whose hair was finer, like low density hair, and just trying to see like if I thought that my journey was gonna be like theirs. Like I didn't know what they were doing, didn't know most of the stuff about their hair. And so like falling into the comparison trap, no matter if I tried to not do that or not, I think would be the next thing that I would say don't do. And I did. And thankfully I kind of snapped out of that pretty quickly, because I was like, you know, Danielle, it's cool to see the pictures of the people around you. But it's just that's not the way it is. And the cool thing about that is that it led me to making this channel where I was like, you know, maybe I should be the person who is more similar to, like, showing people hair that's more similar to mine, because I can't seem to like find that. I did find a few people who have sister locks, and there is a slight difference, I think, but it's pretty similar. And so I really wanted to be the voice for somebody with microlocs who may be like, dude, okay, I'm looking around and I'm like, what? Because this is not what I see happening in my world. And so that is a good thing that came out of the comparison. And I started this channel about 6 months into my microloc journey, and part of it was for that reason. I just was feeling like sucky about it, you know, like, dang, this wasn't turning out how I thought it was going to be compared to, you know, other people. And so don't do that. You can like take my hair as an example, and I love sharing like comparisons and stuff, but at the end of the day, your journey is your journey, and it's just gonna be like your journey, not like my journey. The next mistake I made was like, it took me a minute to like learn about my own hair. I'm not gonna go super in depth in this. If you wanted to hear like details about what I mean by that, as far as like, you know, knowing about reties and stuff like that, you can check out the Microloc regrets video, and I'll link it in the description below. But like, I knew nothing, and I think that's a mistake. It's a regret of mine, and I regret making that mistake, I guess is why I'm including it in both videos. And it's a mistake because it misconstrues like to you what things are gonna be like. It also makes it to where you're kind of going on a journey blindly, and I don't know very many journeys that like people go on that they absolutely don't know anything. Like, people embark on microloc and sister lock journeys. Like, for real, like if I was gonna go to Alaska, there's no freaking way I wouldn't go and look at what the weather was gonna be like, you know, ask other people like, hey, what should I wear in Alaska? You know, and just kind of decide, just, I don't know what it's gonna take to get there, and how much plane tickets are gonna cost, and how long is the flight gonna be, and meals and like stuff like that. I don't know, I just think that lack of preparation was a big mistake that I made. And what it did was it caused me at the beginning of my journey to be like stressed out, because I was like, every little thing that happened to my hair, I was like, oh my God, what is that? What are these? What is that? Oh my God, what is this? What is it supposed to be doing that? You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like, I felt like a new mom again, where I had my son, and like, thankfully I had my mom around, and we have each other around, for the microlock journey. But had I like really been more prepared, for example, with my breastfeeding journey, I wouldn't have felt so stressed out. And so I had to do a crash course, y'all, and like, is he supposed to be doing that? Is my baby eating enough? How am I supposed to be pumping? How does this pump even work? I just took it out of the box. Like, that's kind of how I felt at the beginning of my journey. And it was a mistake. So I think that learning as much as you can. I've been throwing around the idea of making like an ebook, like what to expect when you're expecting Microlocs. I don't know. Just like a general overview, answering a lot of those Q&A questions that people ask, and like those things that I was like, why is my hair, like, for example, one of the things I'll say that's pretty common is like, if you notice, like as you retie the lock, it gets to the point where it's like this part is the lock. So y'all see that? This has been retightened, and then this part right here is the curly end, right? So I don't know why logically I wasn't thinking like, as my hair gets longer and she's interlocking my hair, I'm going to end up with, I'll try to pop a picture up here, I'm going to end up with like delineation, right? It won't all be curly, then it'll be part curly, or like right now it's probably like half curly, half interlock. So it's just kind of like, it was a mistake not to be more familiar with the process of locking and how it works, and some of those budding and stuff like that. At least have the terms kind of floating around in my head. And so when they came about, I wasn't like completely, lost. Have you made any mistakes on your microlock journey? I'm really curious. If you want to, I would love it if you would share it in the comments below, so maybe we can learn from some of the mistakes that you made, so they don't turn into regrets for us, because that way people will know before they actually get their locks, and they won't make those mistakes and have those same regrets. The very last one I would say is I did too much listening to other people that didn't really know about locks, instead of asking questions from a loctician or a person who seemed like they knew a little bit more. I don't know. I did a lot of like, watching people's like videos on YouTube and things like that, but I really couldn't find a lot that actually were talking about the locking process. They were more talking about like their experience with the locks, if that makes sense. And so I think that like it kind of clouded my mind as far as like, okay, I thought I was doing research, but I really wasn't doing research. And I think that comes from like knowing the questions to ask and knowing what you're really looking for, and not getting caught into like, I want this and only this, no matter if that's really good for my hair or not. As I started learning about my hair, I realized that maybe like my intention originally to get sister locks wasn't really the best thing for me. And I think that had I not made the mistake of just only listening to people talk about their journeys instead of trying to get some of the facts, about that, then I wouldn't have wasted as much time. So I made the mistake of like focusing, zooming straight in on like only sister locks, right? So then I went to this consultation, that consultation, and I think it made me a little bit confused about, the experience and things like that. And so that would be the last mistake I would make. If you guys are interested in hearing about my regrets or some of the scams that I've experienced or seen since I've been on my microlock journey, you can click on one of these two videos right here to see those experiences. I would say my microlock regrets video is probably the most popular video on my entire channel. It's hitting like 18,000 views right now. So if you haven't seen it already and you're interested in seeing that, click on that. And if you've already watched that one, click on the microlock scams video, and we will see you guys in the next one. Bye.